growing up, we were those cute little boys in the suspenders and the black hat. As with Mennonites, there are a lot of different levels of Amish. They range from communities, usually they're smaller communities with no running water, maybe not even kitchen cabinets, up to the New Order Amish who might drive cars and have electricity. I come from a more liberal or less conservative community that we had running water, we had power lawnmowers, we didn't have electricity or cars, but we had everything else. We had power tools, we had generators that we ran, we had power washing machines, showers, propane lights in the house. And we took, our community was clean. We took showers every day. Our houses were always clean, thanks to the women. But there are other communities who don't have running water in their house. They might not even have kitchen cabinets. Their yards aren't manicured. Usually they'll run some sheep or goats or animals in their yard. They'll just have it fenced off. So there is a wide range of different sects of Amish people, and our community was stable because we lived in a large one. But some of those smaller communities that have stricter rules, they tend to, for some reason, not get along, and they'll move around and they'll jump from community to community trying to find a more conservative one or a less conservative one, or it just depends on what the family believes in or wants, I guess. So, as a kid, growing up, I think it's one of the best ways to be raised. Personally, I never really liked my childhood, but that was because of handicaps, or kind of handicaps, what I was feeling on the inside, the inadequacy, the not good enough feeling that I had. And you can listen to all that in my testimony, which I'll put at the end of this video. I'll put the link at the end of this video, whatever you call that. So I personally didn't really enjoy it that much, but I would say most Amish kids do, and I think it's the best way to raise kids. I would like to raise my kids in that way as much as possible. As Amish kids, we didn't have TVs, we didn't have radios, we didn't have phones, so playtime was very active. It was we found stuff to do. On rainy days we would play store, and we would have a couple benches stacked on each other for shelves, and we'd have mom's pantry completely cleaned out with everything on those benches, and we'd play that for an hour, 2 hours, and then we'd go off and do something else. Poor mom. Her house was trashed on rainy days. And on sunny days, we would go outside and we would play in the barn. There's a lot of times we made hay tunnels. We would restack the bales and we'd make tunnels through the hay. That was so much fun now that I think about it. And sometimes a couple times our dog had puppies up there in the barn, and we'd go up there and snuggle with the new little puppies before Dad got rid of them. And it was good times. We used our imagination when it came to finding stuff to do, to play, to be active. We also had chores at an early age. I remember when my mom still used cloth diapers, I remember having to wash clothes, and I remember that smell of when I pulled that lid off of a 5-gallon bucket of cloth diapers, that ammonia smell that came with it. I don't know why I remember that so vividly. But Amish kids, maybe not as much now in our community as in others, but Amish kids at an early age are given chores and given responsibilities to take care of the pets or take care of, you know, the animals or dishes or stuff like that, and it helps the kids grow up faster and be more responsible. I think that is so lost in our society today. You know, our kids aren't capable of doing anything, seems like, but that's parents' fault. And you know, just going to the town swimming pool or something, I noticed these young 8, 10, 13-year-old boys are soft. Like their bodies are soft and a little chubby. You know, I don't remember ever, you know, most Amish kids, they were chiseled. Now I sound like a creep looking at boys in swimming pools. But it's not. But I just noticed that. They're spending more time probably sitting in front of TVs and video games and stuff like that, and they're not being active. And I don't know that that's the kids' fault. That's on the parent. Take that TV away from them. Take them to the playground. Whatever. If you live in the city, find physical stuff for them to do. Loan them out to a farmer or something to go work, you know. My dad, when me and my brothers were old enough, he sent us to a farmer to work for him for $5 a day. Farmer said he would pay more. Dad said he doesn't want more. He just wants us to get the experience, you know. And I stacked a lot of bales of hay those summers, just working for an Amish farmer. And I didn't like it. I'm not a farm guy, but it was really good for us. It was very good for us. And at home, you know, we did the garden. That wasn't fun. Mom got us a milk cow. She thought it would be good for us boys to milk a cow every morning and night. And I didn't agree, obviously, but it was good for us. I think I was a bit of a lazy kid. And for some reason, though, when I started getting paid in the workforce, I did the best I could. So I don't know what made that switch flip, but it took a lot of effort for my mom and dad to get me to do something. And I have a few other siblings that might be the same way. But that's that's one thing Amish do well. You know, they have the moms usually stay at home when they have kids, and they teach their girls at 3 years old, 4 years old to start washing dishes. And yeah, the mom could do it a lot faster just by herself, but that's not the point. The point is to teach your kids how to do things at a young age. It takes 3 or 4 times longer, but it's so valuable to that young child. And like I said, we're just, it doesn't happen out here anymore. It just doesn't happen. So we played a lot of basketball. You know, some of the hoops were outside, some of them were in the big barns, and we would take these gas lanterns and we'd hang them up in the barns at night, and we, you know, even in the wintertime, 20 degrees out, we'd go play basketball. So since Amish don't have TVs, they're not entertained at home, so they will oftentimes go visit other family. And let me check, see if it's still on. A lot of times they will go visit other family, like our aunts and uncles or just friends, and we'd get together and they'd have a little bit of a meal and some ice cream, you know, and the parents would sit inside the house and they'd be visiting, and our kids we were turned loose, you know. We were responsible enough. We didn't get in trouble, but we just ran around outside and did, you know, in the summers, you know, maybe we would play Civic-Grütze. I don't know how to explain that game. It's been a while. Or cats and dogs. We just I think they were just made up games of where the girls and the boys, we would all play. But they were all active games, physically active games. as we got older, when we get together, the 14, 15 years old, us boys would get into a bit more trouble. We'd start getting into a little bit of mischief. Like we'd pull pranks on the buggies going by, or my grandma had a lot of purses stored in her barn, so we would take a purse and we'd put horse or cow manure in it, and we'd set it out on the road. So some poor traveler would come by and they'd see the purse, so they'd stop and pick it up, and it's just full of manure. One time we actually caught a mouse live. It was still alive, and we put it in the purse. And some older gentleman and his wife saw it, and they picked it up. The gentleman, we were watching, peeking out of the barn doors and stuff, and the older gentleman picked it up. He handed it to his wife, and his wife opened it up. There's a mouse, and she just tossed it out the window. There was a time a guy on a tractor picked it up, and he didn't look in it. He just picked it up and put it on his tractor and kept going, probably planning on returning it to whoever it belonged to later, I hope. And then, 14, 15, we'd start finding cigarettes, and we'd start smoking whenever we could. Unfortunately, that's my brother, a little bit younger than me, about a year and a half younger than me. We had found some cigarettes, and so we walked back into our neighbor's woods, and I don't know, we might have been like 12, 13. Anyway, so we would smoke these cigarettes, and I would just into the mouth and then back out, not actually inhale. And my brother was trying to teach me how to inhale. And it wasn't working. So he said, just swallow it. You just got to swallow the smoke. So that's what I did for a while. I tried swallowing the smoke. The coughing and the disgustingness. It's so bad. It's bad that my little brother was teaching me how to do it. But he must have had more experience than me. I don't know. Or other people that influenced him worse than what I was influenced, that taught him all that stuff. Yeah, we had a lot of good times. We'd get together with somebody and we'd be playing, and then our moms and dads would call us for dinner, so we'd come in and eat and ice cream, and then we'd be right back at it in the dark. I just remember those moonlit nights. Playing in the dark. Lots of good times. I wonder now, talking about smoking, we'd go out and smoke at 14, 15, then we'd get called in for dinner and we'd be chewing gum or something, cologne to cover ourselves up, and they didn't say anything to us, but there's no way they didn't smell that on us. They had to smell it on us. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't. Once in a while, we'd get caught. So my dad would always keep a pony around, and we would, have our little carts that we could ride him in, and it was sometimes bareback. There was this one pony, a paint, black and white, Tony, we called him. He kind of made us. A couple different neighbors had him, and nobody got him tamed down enough. So my dad took him, and I think the other neighbors were too busy farming. But my little brother, John, he was really good with horses. Something with animals. He just fit in with them, and he got him calm enough, so we actually started driving and riding him. But he was still an ornery little cuss. We had some accidents with him, some runaways. If we were riding him, we'd come we'd take him over the neighbors and then come riding back, and we would haul on the way home because he was headed for the barn. So we would come running through the yard, and then right before the barn, he would stop and put his head down, and of course we'd go flying over the front of him, and then he would trot right up to the barn. Smart, ornery sucker. But It's good times. My brother John, he always, we had a dog, Jody, best dog ever, and he had built a little shoeing stock for her, kind of like they shoe draft horses. They put them in stocks, and poor dog was tied up to the stock, and he would be shoeing her feet, and not actually, but pretending. And that dog she loved it. She just stood there patiently, did whatever he wanted her to do. It was awesome. We fought all the time, just like any kids. We fought, bickered, everything like that. As far as work went, we only lived on almost 4 acres. We didn't live on we only had like 3 3/4 acres. We didn't live on a farm. But us boys' responsibility was mowing the lawn. We had power mowers, like I said, and doing the chores, making sure the horses are fed, making sure the cows are fed, the cow is fed, making sure the cow's milked. And then usually our Saturday chores were cleaning up the barn and making sure the stalls are clean and all that. And it was pretty easy. We didn't have that much to do. We'd have to go out. There's some weeds in the field that we had to clean up a lot, which was, we'd have to dig them out by hand. I can't remember what it's called now. You know, if there was some other outside work, it usually us boys who did it. And we had to help weed the garden. That sucked. We also, when we were younger, we had to wash dishes, help wash dishes, and help do laundry and stuff like that as the boys, because we didn't have enough to do outside. And then the girls, I had a bunch of sisters, and their chores were to keep the house clean and do the laundry and help do the dishes. And they probably had more work than us. But they did a wonderful job. Amish houses in our community are clean. They're probably some of the cleanest houses you'll ever find. Or as clean as the cleanest houses. Women do a great job cooking and cleaning, for sure. And they just accept that as their duty. They enjoy doing that part of the work. So they're good at it. So and our first language was Pennsylvania Dutch. Mehenas missa Gledelwäsche and Haasbutze and Chavesche and de Kiemilge and de Scheilasbutze and so that's Pennsylvania Dutch. It has some German in it, but it's not the standard German. And then right before we started going to school at the age of 6, whatever it was, kindergarten age, we had to learn English. Now our parents sent most of us to a non-Amish school, to the public schools. So we had to learn English, and then we got better at English once we hit school. And school for us was half of at Westview School Corporations, half of the classes were Amish kids, the other half normal kids. And at the 8th grade, we all dropped out. So half of the school dropped out in the 8th grade, which was kind of unique to that particular school. But we were always second class, right? We were the Amish kids. We weren't the cool kids. Not that nobody mistreated us. Nobody for the non-Amish kids, that was just normal for them. They didn't know anything else. They just grew up going to school with the rest of us. And we stayed kind of separated because we were just more comfortable with our own people, I guess. There was a little bit of intermingling, a lot of, I don't know about the girls' side so much, but the boys, the Amish kids that were good at basketball kind of might have been accepted more by the non-Amish kids who played basketball, so they'd play together and stuff. There wasn't, we stayed separate, but it wasn't, I don't know, that's just how it was. And in the Amish class, there was the cool Amish kids and the geeky Amish kids and the loser. It's just, we kind of had two separate, don't know how to explain that, 2 separate classes. So there was the English kids with the cool kids and the nerds and all that. And then there was the Amish kids with the cool kids and the nerds and all that. It's just funny how that worked. But yeah, and then, you know, we believed everything that we were taught in school, just like anybody else. And then the kids that went to an Amish school, that was all Amish kids at that school. So, but they had to learn English too. They had to speak English in the Amish schools. And they learned basically what we learned in public schools, just not as much. Like they didn't go into they didn't go in, they stuck with more of the basics. And they added a lot of Christianity, you know, hymns, singing, and all that stuff. They had a lot of that in the private Amish schools versus, you know, public schools. They weren't allowed to do that, I guess. So, but you could tell kind of which kids came out of an Amish school because they tended to be more cocky than the ones that went to public schools. And I think that's because in Amish schools, everybody was Amish and they weren't second class, right? In the public schools, we Amish kids were kind of the minor. I mean, we were the, I don't know how to say it. I can't think of the words. Second class, you know. So we were humbled more. That sounds like we're bragging now, but yeah, we were. Yeah, you guys get it. And then after dropping out in the 8th grade, most Amish kids get a full-time job at the age of 14 and a half, 15 years old. They get a full-time job, restaurants, construction, whatever they can get into. And then the big age of 16 comes along, right? The age everybody's looking forward to, Rumspringa. So that will be described in a later video. Be looking forward to that. That's kind of what everybody is so curious about. I will try to describe that in detail. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button with the bell icon so you get notified of future videos. Help me out. Hit the like button. Comment below. Ask your questions. I will do my best to answer them. And we will see you next time.